Am I the asshole for not cooking a second meal for my younger siblings after they refused to eat what I made? I, 16F, have two younger siblings, Mia, 9F, and Max, 7M. Our parents recently went on a quick meeting over the next state, but due to bad weather, they got stuck due to severe weather. It's been a few days, and while they've been checking in, I've had to take over everything at home, including looking after my siblings. I don't mind helping out, but it's been exhausting managing schoolwork, chores, and making sure they're not setting the house on fire. Few days ago, I decided to go all out and cook a proper meal for dinner. I made a spinach and cheese lasagna from scratch, which took me hours between prepping, baking, and cleaning up. I was really proud of it, and it smelled amazing and looked straight out of a food magazine. However, when I served it, Mia poked at it like it was toxic waste, and Max flat out said, "This is gross. I want nuggets." And we didn't have any nuggets or something to make for that matter. I was frustrated but stayed calm and told them, "This is dinner. If you don't want it, that's fine, but I'm not making anything else." They refused to eat and just went back to watching TV. I figured they'd eventually get hungry and eat, but when I checked later, they still hadn't eaten. I still tried to push them but eventually gave up because I had a pile of homework and was already drained. Fast forward to the next few days when my mom called. She asked if everything was okay, and I mentioned the lasagna incident. She got upset and said something like they have to eat something, and that kids don't really like those stuff. I explained that I didn't have the time or energy to whip up a second meal when I'm juggling everything else. She got even angrier, saying they haven't eaten muke in days because they're too picky to eat what I've made. I get it, they're kids, and I'm not a professional chef, but I feel like I've already done my part by cooking, cleaning, and keeping them alive. I didn't sign up to be their personal short-order cook. And for context, due to the weather conditions, ordering in wasn't an option. Am I really the asshole for drawing the line and not making them something else when they refused to eat? Edit. This didn't happen yesterday, it was around 5 days ago I think. I made enough lasagna to last a week so I wouldn't have to cook much. My parents are already home and the kids have already eaten. Absolutely not the asshole, and your parents should be grateful that you've stepped up and taken care of things on top of your other responsibilities. If they're so worried about your siblings not eating, they should call them and explain the situation and that they must eat. Age 9 and 7 are old enough to understand it. Not the asshole, you're 16 taking care of the house and 2 kids. It's not your job in such age. Also, I'm wondering how long have you been alone with your siblings, quite concerning. Not the asshole. If they were hungry they would eat it or figure something else out. It's not like this is representative of their diets for their whole lives. If they insist on eating like raccoons for a couple days while mom and dad are stuck away from home, let the trash pandas be free. You made food, they have access to food. They are currently not dead or dying. The house is not on fire yet. The minimum threshold of babysitting has been met. 7 and 9 is old enough to throw stuff in the microwave or make a bowl of cereal. I'm willing to bet there's granola bars or other snacks they could have gotten into if they were desperate. Info. You said you made enough to last for days. Do you mean that you offered them the same lasagna they didn't like for several days? And are there other food options? I don't mean you making a second meal, I mean PB&J or bowl of cereal? It's odd to take hours to make a dish that you'd know beforehand with 100% certainty a 9 and 7-year-old wouldn't be interested in eating. You've done an amazing job taking care of your siblings in your parents' absence, so I can't judge you as an AH. But the spinach lasagna was pearls before swine. I hope you were able to freeze portions for later. Not the asshole. Also, mom was wrong to say what she did. You made a really great meal. Sibs should have been grateful, but they have gotten used to having mom cater to them, so they went hungry. Mom needs to take kids with her, not leave or make arrangements for special meals that don't involve you. Let you feed yourself. Sounds you do a great job at that. Now I want lasagna. Am I the asshole for not watering my wife's plants? Me, 42M, and my wife, 41F, have been married 3 years. My wife has many good qualities, but she is quite disorganized and more than a little lazy. She loves gardening, but I think it's more that she likes the idea of gardening because she is terrible at it. She is the Saddam Hussein of plants. She not only has a poor idea of how to garden, what plants need what kind of care, etc., but mostly because she is so lazy, her plants die from neglect. The amount of care needed to keep her plants alive is probably no more than 5-10 minutes a day, but she can't even manage that. Her position is that it makes her happy and it doesn't really affect me, so what do I care? And my position is that it's slightly psychopathic to claim to love plants but not put in even a very modest amount of effort to keep said plants alive. It doesn't make sense to me. Our compromise on this is that we just agree to disagree. I turn a blind eye to her wanton plant torture, murder, so long as I don't have to participate, and she goes on happily throttling Mother Nature to death in the backyard. Our problem is that my wife is going on vacation for 3 weeks and now wants me to water her plants. I can do this very easily, so could anyone, but I have a moral objection. I don't want to be involved her cottage industry of death. To me, I'll be participating in keeping these tortured souls alive, maybe even giving them hope of a better life, only to have it dashed when she returns in 3 weeks to resume her reign of terror. My wife is claiming I'm being dramatic. I am. But I don't think I'm wrong, so we've decided to ask Reddit and will abide by the crowd's decision. Am I the asshole for not wanting to water her plants? Edit. Okay, wow, this ended up getting way more polarizing than I thought. The consensus seems to be that I would be the asshole, or that I already am, and never loved my wife and deserved to die alone, so I will definitely look after the plants. I am hoping that like any good children's movie I can grow from being a grumpy curmudgeon to having a heartwarming relationship with a row of cherry tomatoes. My wife, who has read through your replies, notes that she is mortified at being outed as a registered plant abuser, and will certainly try to do better. I myself have learned not to criticize her online because just as in real life, people like her a hell of a lot more than me, which she has been cackling about for the last hour. Thanks everyone. Info. Why are you married to someone you appear to dislike? Married people who want to stay married do small nice things for each other. Do her a favor and install some irrigation while she's away. You could literally make her Sue happy and have a productive garden. I mean, that's what I would do if I loved my wife. I wouldn't make her feel worse about the things she loves. You are the asshole, it's watering plants. Maybe show her how plants can thrive on well-tended care. Edit, I meant for husband to water plants and when wife gets back, she can see what they should look like. But I do not think it is that big of an ask from your spouse. How hard is it to water the plants once a week? They may disagree on the plants themselves, but overall, spouses do things for each other. I'm dying, this is such a hilarious post. Saddam Hussein of plants loudly crying, tears of joy, tears of joy, tears of joy. You are the asshole if you don't care for them, but also not the asshole for not wanting to give the poor things whiplash. This is hilarious. But dude, come on, water the plants. A small gesture in the grand scheme of things if you love your wife and want to make her happy. I am with the comment of seeing if you can automate the watering in some way. You are the asshole. You're mad she doesn't look after them, and then you're mad that she's trying to look after them by making sure they won't dry out over 3 weeks? Am I the asshole for refusing to cook gluten-free or take my near-adult son out to eat? My 17-year-old son was diagnosed recently with a wheat allergy. He had been battling gut issues for a few months and we finally found that he can't have wheat. I immediately went into research mode. I read labels, learned all names for wheat, bought hundreds of dollars of food, snacks for him to try. I took him to Whole Foods and organic markets for hundreds more. I bought wheat alternative flours and began cooking gluten-free. He still had digestive issues. So back to doctor. Only issue wheat. Come to find out he's spending his paycheck at school on biscuits and gluten-filled snacks. He goes to a friend's house and bam, eats McDonald's and wheat-filled junk. The doc and I warned him that this is only mild moderate but it can get worse. He actually came home with urticaria and hives last weekend. He ate cake and pizza at a friend's. He's not 10, he's 17. I can't be with him everywhere and police every single thing he eats. He knows what wheat is and what to look for, we literally learned together. The school said they won't cut him off even with a doctor note cause he's old enough to police himself. TG provide alternatives but he won't eat them. He's stubborn. Tonight we went out to a gluten-friendly restaurant and I got him a gluten-free meal, $26. Ours average $15-18. I made sure he was good with the selection. He didn't eat it but instead snuck off others' plates and snuck bread. My mother-in-law is an enabler. Just a bit won't bother him. 10 bites later, he stunk up the car on the way home and tried to deny that he ate West, but the guy won't lie. He is wanting to stay home due to gut pain but I'm getting peeved cause he's causing it. Am I an awful mom that if he's going to eat what he wants that I am just over making the effort and spending way extra money when he's not even following the diet? I have been begging, trying, and cooking girlfriend for over 9 months and have spent thousands trying to find what even I feel taste pretty good alternative. I don't want to be an uncaring person but I feel like I'm wasting time and money that we don't really have when it makes no difference. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole, but have wheat-free food options at the house. That said, as a person with celiac, these are all the things that are easy to have on hand, won't break the bank, and are wheat-free. Most potato chips, not Pringles. Tortilla chips, salsa, cheese, eggs, rice, potatoes, veggies, corn tortillas. Most lunch meats, boar's head and Hormel label for wheat and gluten. Progresso soups label for gluten. Yogurt, cottage cheese. Girlfriend freezer waffles are around the same price as regular ones. They work for waffles, sandwiches and a base for individual pizzas. Rice checks all flavors. Obviously there's a lot more girlfriend, wheat-free food, but a lot of whole foods are naturally wheat-free and just keep stuff like that around. I'm gluten-free because I have celiac. I'm going not the asshole. Please stop buying girlfriend alternatives and just stick with fruit, veg, protein, and rice. Your kid isn't taking this seriously and is causing him severe damage. Personally, I would take him back to the doctor for a sit-down. But, in the end, you can't force him. It's really an annoying situation and you are doing a good job. I suffered for years. I just don't understand why he would like being sick. Maybe therapy? This is a complicated issue and I genuinely think you should go to therapy with him. He's choosing to poison himself, but that's very different from you doing it. If you stop doing gluten-free for meals that you know he's eating, then you're actively harming him. It's a tough line to tread. Something you could try is making him completely responsible for his own diet. You don't have to cook GF, but he's also not welcome to your food. He needs to cook his own food, buy his own groceries, or you can give him a budget and manage himself. Not the asshole, but it's also his health, his choice. Just don't actively poison your kid. Nah, but you should keep offering gluten-free food. It will help normalize it by exposing him. The diagnosis is a huge change for him. Have you thought about therapy for him? Appeal to teenaged vanity, ruthlessly. Tell him that if he keeps this up and keeps causing inflammation, he is gonna end up with a colostomy. Continuous inflammation can cause your bowel to perforate, resulting in a bowel resection and a colostomy. Ask him, would he rather eat properly or poop in a bag? Tell him you'd save on the toilet paper, so you're okay if he wants to go that route. Yeah, I mean, kind of a tough one. I'd say nah. I understand your frustration, and as long as the food is available to him, you're fulfilling parental responsibilities. If he doesn't want to eat it, then that becomes his own choice. I do think the food should still be available to him, because he's still under your care. I'm going with nah, though, because giving up wheat sounds like a very difficult dietary transition to make. He doesn't exactly have the best attitude about it, but it's pretty understandable. Have you already been blunt with him about how even though it sucks, that's what he needs to do? Am I the asshole for skipping the bathroom line to wash my hands? Basically what the title says. I, 30SF, was recently at the airport for a flight. I went to the ladies' bathroom to wash my hands about 15 minutes before boarding, so I could have waited. There was a line of about half a dozen women, and I made eye contact with the one at the front of line and told her I was just going to wash my hands. She had no issue with it. There were 2 sections of sinks, and I went to the one closest to the entrance. The next 5 sinks to the left of me were all unused in the time I was washing my hands. As I walked out barely a minute later, a woman towards the end of the line cupped her hands around her mouth as if to broadcast to everyone and said in a very condescending tone, "There's a line E," and laughed at herself. I was so taken aback that anyone had any issues with this that I only managed to mutter, "I was just washing my hands," so, as I walked out. I really didn't see an issue with what I did, cause I did not cause anyone to wait in line any longer than they would have. Nor did I take up a sink that people ahead of me needed. But now I'm not so sure what is the general public consensus of skipping the bathroom line to use an available sink. Was I the asshole for doing so? Not the asshole. The line was for the toilets, not for the sink. Not the asshole. Tell that lady not to worry, you peed in a sink, so it didn't hold up the line at all. Not the asshole. Some people are just miserable. Clearly not the asshole. It scares me that some people are so brain broken that they behave this way in real life. Obviously the line is for the toilets. Not the asshole, but I would assume she didn't know you were just washing your hands if you only told the person at the front and she was at the back. Probably looked to her like you skipped the line and were in and out because of it. But this is going to go down on my list of reasons I'd never speak up publicly on my perceived slights like line skippers. When you're wrong or missing key information, you end up looking like a fool. Not the asshole. I would have done the same thing back to her and said, not for the sinks.